Tonight we're going to be talking about lighting for live streams and videos. And I brought on my special guest, Alex, LoveTheBasics. He's a filmmaker. So let's get started. So
Hello.
tonight we're going to be talking about lighting. I brought you on because I know that you know a lot about lighting. Don't you?
I would say so.
Because if you don't know, you make the crispiest TikToks ever that I ever seen with like the lighting and the camera. And I wanted to bring him on to the audience to show your lighting talents.
Thank you.
So let's get started. So, why do you need to invest in lighting when you first start out?
Lighting is literally the most important thing that you can invest in. There's a lot of stuff that goes into having like really good video work, and some of that is audio. You can have really terrible like image quality, but if your audio sounds really good, then a lot of the times your audience is going to forgive that, and your video is still watchable since you have good audio. Versus if you have really good video and really bad audio, it's hard to keep your audience like there and focused. They might just click away. But then on the other side of the spectrum, having good lighting is equally as important. You'll be amazed on how much like higher quality your footage is going to be if you invest in better lighting versus like camera or a quote unquote better camera, because a lot of the time that's not the case. So people think that like image quality comes down to the actual camera themselves. If they like buy this camera and then buy this camera and then buy this camera, that everything is going to look amazing. But you can literally give a professional like a $200 camera from the pawn shop, and it's going to look better than giving a beginner like a cinema grade camera. And a lot of that comes down to lighting, among a whole bunch of other things.
The next question is, what is the best lighting for under $100 if you're just getting started?
That's an interesting question. One of the easiest ways to go about getting started is to go to like Home Depot or something and get can lights. They're like less than $10 a piece. They plug into your wall. They use normal LED light bulbs, so you can grab whatever color LED light bulb that you want. So your entire setup is probably $15 at most, and then they can clamp anywhere. The only thing is that they're really harsh, so you're gonna have to diffuse it quite a bit for it to look appealing, so that there's not a whole bunch of harsh shadows on your face. And one way to do that is to get like a shower curtain. You can get like a frosted shower curtain, or you can even go on Amazon and get a softbox material. And that's going to be essentially the same thing. But a shower curtain, you can go to like Target and get it for like $3. So that'll be a really good starting position because you can get a couple lights for like $25 or so. And that's a really solid way to get started. But if you want something a little bit more like expensive, um, hmm. I don't know if I would suggest a ring light. Ring lights have a certain look to them. So ring lights are very, very stylistic since they give you the circles in your eyes. And I know a lot of people will start off with a ring light because they're under that $100 price point. They're like 50, 60, $70 depending on which one you get. So I don't know exactly like up in that $100 range because we got like really cheap, amazing lights. And then somewhere in like the $150 range would be like a next step.
Okay. So if you had $200 to spend on lighting, what would you recommend?
Okay. You're probably going to be in a studio, I would assume. Getting battery powered stuff for that cheap is kind of hard. that's something that comes with like paying a little bit extra, is having the ability to not have to plug your light into the wall. But definitely like a Godox SL60W and then a diffuser. So the Godox has a Bowens mount, which means that you can add in a whole bunch of light modifiers, and it works the exact same. Oh, it's over here. It works the exact same as this light right there. So it is like $100 version or $150 version plus the modifier. So it's definitely under $200 versus this light, which comes in at $750 just for the light itself. Nanlite also has some very solid options if you don't want to go with Godox.
Okay. Now, this question you might know the answer to. Are you a Aperture 120D owner? I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's right there.
What is the best light that is like the Aperture 120D that is under $700? Like
That'll have to be the
500.
Godox SL60W, which is like $150. But again, you have to plug it into the wall. And then the other one would have to be a Nanlite. Let me see. Nanlite has a whole bunch of really good options. They have this like Forza 60. It's $260. It's half the wattage of the Aperture. That's where the 60 comes from versus, but it is a third of the price. So it's very solid. But then there's like an FS 300, which is $350. And that's going to be something a lot closer to the Aperture. But Aperture just released budget options of the 120D. They have the 100D and then the 200D.
I saw
So,
that.
yes, so they are probably the best option thinking about it. I keep forgetting that they exist. But the 100D is 200, I think. I think it's $200. It might be $300. And then the 200D is like $300 or $400. Let's see here. So the Aperture, okay, I was off. I was off by a lot. So the best alternative to the 120D under $500 would be the Aperture 100D, and then that's $300. And then you can get the diffuser and make up the difference in price there. So you'll get up to that you'll get up to that $500 mark once you add in both of those.
Nice. So there's a cheaper option.
Yes, lighting doesn't have to be expensive.
Yes. Now, this question is pretty important and I want your feedback. What are your thoughts on my lighting right now? This. Do you like it? What?
Oh, hello.
I'm
Is it
muting you by
working?
mistake. So what are your thoughts?
It's pretty bad. It doesn't do anything for you. You're in a dark room, probably just using your computer's light, which is fine because I'm just using the lights on my computer also. I have two monitors and I just have Google open so that it's bouncing this white light onto my face. And it looks like you're doing the exact same thing, but the difference between our lighting setups is that I have my overhead lights on and you get the depth of field. Um, it helps that I'm using like a fancy camera to get like quality and stuff, but having depth, being able to see all the, dang it, I keep getting confused with my hands, but being able to see all the way back here to the back wall and being able to see stuff behind me helps so much. I don't know what your situation looks like, what your setup looks like, but like adding in like the depth is going to make a big difference. And then of course it helps that people will be able to see you.
I'm in a very dark room. No, I'm not. I have lights, but I need to like color change them or they don't look as nice on camera. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I
A lot
have
of the
to switch
times,
them out. That's the only reason. And I like the darker look. That's what I'm trying to do because I
well,
have a
there's like a
light.
difference. Like you can look at someone like, um, dang it, what is it? Graham Stephan. Yeah, there we go.
Yes,
Stephan,
yes,
his
yes.
backdrop is very dark, but that's because his walls are painted black. So yes, you can have like this dark aesthetic, but he has like a whole bunch of lights on him still. It's just the difference of having a black background behind him.
Now does this look better? I'm just curious.
It looks a lot better than what you had before. Yeah. Good job.
I just turned my light up. So that's good. Because people have been saying it has been dark, and I wanted to get your feedback because you know the lighting.
Yeah. One last thing that would help you is to have some sort of light behind you to help
I
separate you from
I
the
do.
background.
It's right over there.
Yeah, it's not enough. I'm talking about like by your hair and stuff. So
Um,
you're you can very easily like
for
fall into the background itself. So by having some sort of light by your hair, by your shoulders, or whatever the case may be, it's going to like add that separation and make you stand out from your background.
and I will change it after the stream because you're giving me feedback, and I want feedback to improve my live stream. So that's amazing. Someone has a question already. Let's see. Where is the question? I just saw Q. What should I use to make my background colorful lighting?
That depends on how much money you have. So, like I said earlier, getting those clamp lights and a light bulb, maybe you have a daylight light bulb already, you're looking at a max of $15 for both of those. And then you can go on Amazon and you can get these gels. So they're like photography gels or videography gels. So and then you can also go to like the dollar store or something and get like these little clips. So with those combinations, you can change the color of that $15 light to be whatever it is that you want. But if you do have more of a budget, then you can go with LED lighting. So I know Yongnuo, they have light bars, the YN360 light bars. They're about $80. Aperture MCs are again about $80. Um, Aperture has this light bulb, like it screws in like a normal light bulb socket, and that's about like $70 to $80 again. You can get cheaper LED lights too. Having like LED light strips, sometimes you'll see a whole bunch of flicker, so those might not be the highest quality things, but having like the cheaper like GVM lighting, LED lighting panels that change colors can be good. They can be good. I've used them before, but the build quality isn't like amazing, but if you're on a budget, then it doesn't matter because you don't really have a different option. So, something like that I would suggest.
Okay, great. So I hope we answered your question. That helped. He said yes. I think he got it. So that's great. And yeah, does anyone else have some questions? I have some more to ask him, but if anyone has in the chat, you can. What is the best starter light for when you're just beginning?
Depends on your budget. Some people start off with really good budgets, so I can recommend like nice expensive lighting. Um, but it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. So it depends on your budget if it's $50 or if it's $100 or if it's $1,000 because you can light things with no budget at all. If you don't have any money, just filming in the daytime versus filming at night, filming by your window versus not filming by your window is going to make the biggest difference. So it all just depends on the budget. I would suggest getting a 5-in-1 reflector if you're just starting off, because then you can use window light and diffuse it, or you can bounce that window light off back onto your face. But definitely, probably just using your window and getting some of the softbox material off of Amazon is going to be pretty good for you.
How do you correctly use a light diffuser? Do you know what I mean?
A diffuser?
Yeah.
So the only thing that the diffuser does is it's going to soften the light. So you're going to get very, very soft like shadows on your face, and it's going to look a lot more appealing. And that's like the main thing is if you are like going down here and there's like this harsh line underneath your chin or something from your light, or like by your nose there's like really harsh lines, then you probably should diffuse the light, and then that's going to make the shadows not stand out as much. And definitely if you're filming with like daylight, like sunlight, direct sunlight, you need to diffuse that because again, you're going to have those like really, really harsh shadows.
If you use sunlight for your lighting, what is the best time to film?
Probably midday, because the one issue with filming with sunlight is that obviously the sun moves. So at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, I feel like the sun is moving a whole lot faster, which means that the lighting in your videos is going to drastically change from when you start and when you finish. But if you're filming about midday, that sun, I feel like it's just not moving as fast visually. So when you start the video and when you end the video, it's going to look the most similar.
Okay, great. Does anyone else have any questions in the live chat? I'm just seeing. So, what is your lighting setup?
Like my typical lighting
Yeah.
setup. Okay. A lot of people call this the mechanicless method, but I don't think that that really is it. That's like a theater lighting setup. But what I typically do is I'll take my key light, which is the main light lighting up your setup. So I'll take my key light and I'll put it uh, about 45 degrees or so. And with lighting, you always want to emulate like the sun, basically, which means you want your light up high and generally pointed down at you. And that's more appealing because it replicates the sun, and we're used to like seeing light come from higher places. So it's not like coming from below you or something like that, unless you want that. But my typical lighting setup is taking that main key light about 45 degrees, depending on how dramatic of a shot I want. And then I'll take another light behind me, like directly behind me, probably like a negative 45 degrees or whatever. But the two lights, they are looking at each other. And then I'm just kind of in the middle of that. So I have one light lighting up my face and then one light separating me from the background.
Okay. Great. That's amazing. Does anyone else in the chat have any questions? If not, we're going to wrap it up. Yeah. Someone has to run. That's funny. But if you don't have any more lighting questions, thank you for watching this video / live stream, and I will see you next time. Bye.